Welcome back, Shalligators. Today, we're going to talk about someone who's not really a celebrity, but kind of is because he's all any of us can talk about and maybe possibly fantasize about. LUIGI Mangione, the 26-year-old Ivy League student from a very prominent political family and real estate family who shot dead an insurance CEO, a healthcare insurance CEO, to make a statement. And the statement he seems to be making is, you can be a killer as long as you're hot. We're going to talk about this because it's a big debate now. Like, is this killing monstrous and unjustified? Or is this the people being fed up with an absolutely corrupt healthcare system? And is this the first domino to fall? We're going to talk all about it. I'm going to weave in some history because you know I'm a student of history. I'm going to give my opinion. And moreover, we're going to talk about bad boys. Why do we like the bad boys? Is this actually something you should try to change about yourself? We're going to get into a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm going to read your topic suggestions for this because, yeah, this is kind of uncharted territory. We never really talk about true crime. But that's because a lot of criminals are ugly. And Ghost Gun Daddy, okay. Is this a factor? Are we more likely to go easy on someone when they're hot? It's actually something called the halo effect. We're going to break it all down. But before we get into it, a quick word from today's sponsor.
The holidays are here, Shalligators. And listen, I'm a great gift giver for my friends, for my family. But when it comes to guys, I literally don't know what to get them outside of like the whipped cream bikini. As you know, I was just in Austria going on my Christmas market extravaganza, and I discovered a brand based in Austria that I really love. Holzgren is my new favorite brand. They specialize in watches and jewelry for men and women made from natural materials. So like wood, stones, metals. It's beautiful. Can I show you what I'm getting the guy in my life this year? I might keep it for myself, but look at this watch. So I wanted to get him a watch, and I was like, oh, a Rolex, how much can they possibly be? I'm a clown, I had no idea. This is a price point that we can afford. I love a watch because it's like a nice, sort of like heavy, substantial gift for men that they don't always buy themselves. After I was shopping, I'm like, you know what? I deserve something, a little something for him, a little something for me. So I picked up these pearl and gold earrings and this beautiful matching necklace. I kind of did all my shopping in one. And so listen, if you're looking for something for a guy or for yourself, because honestly, I think it's really cute when girls wear boys' watches. This is kind of a vibe. Sorry, babe, you're not getting this. Check out Holzgren. They offer free worldwide shipping from Vienna. Customs fees are on them, don't worry. And most products take only 2 to 5 business days to arrive. So listen, if you're a last minute shopper, we've got you covered. Plus bonus, all the wood is sustainable and it's a family business started in 2016. So go forth, shop. No time like the present. Happy holidays, Shalligators.
All right, welcome back. Do you guys like the little Christmassy setup? Yeah, we got some like Christmas vibes going on here. I thought we'd give us a different background. And speaking of Christmas, if you are feeling generous or you're not feeling generous, you're just bad with money, I've got you. Please shop the Amazon wish list in the link down below. All the gifts on there go directly to residents living in our local homeless shelter here in Bozeman, Montana. It's a lot of toys and gifts and snowsuits and stuff that children and needy families really could use this holiday season. It goes directly to the shelter's office. Myself and the coordinator are going to sit and wrap packages as they roll in. I'm excited to do that. You know, I love cutting out the middleman. I love it when we just have a direct pipeline to help people. So that would mean the world to me. If you have a few extra bucks and you're wanting to take advantage of some holiday sales, click down below and yeah, it just goes straight there. Also, if you want to donate to some worthy snouties, please consider donating to Whispering Willows Senior Dog Sanctuary. You can Venmo them, Cash App, anything. All the links are down below and it would mean the world to me. If my advice has helped you, please consider passing it on and paying it forward. You know, this channel is always going to be free. All I ask in return is, you know, giving back when we have the opportunity to do so because it really does make a difference and things add up. So let's talk about people who are trying to maybe better the world in a way that's, okay, LUIGI. Let's talk LUIGI. So here's the deal. They've been looking for this dude for a week. I'm sure you know the story. Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot in the face at like 7 a.m. and he'd been receiving death threats. No word at the time that I'm filming this because the story's still developing. Not sure if those threats were coming from LUIGI. And this is what we know so far about LUIGI. He comes from a pretty prominent family. They were like Sicilian immigrants. They made a lot of money in real estate. I think they own country clubs as well. One of his cousins, Nino, is actually a politician in Maryland. And this dude is like heartbroken for his family. And the family gives the impression that they didn't see this coming, but things were like not going well with Luigi. He was valedictorian. He went to Penn. These are incredible achievements. And everything seemed to go wrong, from what his friends say, when he had back surgery. And it was so bad that he like couldn't have sex. We would have found a way around that. We would have found a way around that. Luigi! Boy. And connecting the dots, it seemed like Luigi blamed the healthcare industry for this back surgery that went awry or left him different than how he was before. This is not a murder apology video. It's not. I will say though, I have experienced chronic pain. And when you are in chronic pain, it fundamentally changes who you are as a person. It does. You are so, I hate to say trigger happy. I don't mean, but kinda. Like your temper is on a 9. And listen, I have had a lot of chronic pain throughout my body through most of my life. I have bad joints. I have bad bones. And I didn't realize how much pain I was in until I fixed it. And I fixed it actually through a Shalligator. One of you girls, Jess Forber. Hi, Jess. She was a fan of the channel, had been watching me for a long time. And she is, I call her a Pilates-based body reconditioning coach. So she uses Pilates and like true kinesiology and the mind-body connection of like where you carry stress and how stress manifests in different part of your body, and emotional pain, you carry it in your thoracic, you carry it in your hips. And she's like, I would watch you in videos and see how you would shift and how you would turn your neck or touch your jaw. And I knew how much pain you were in and that you weren't even registering how bad it was. And she was exactly right. And I did maybe 6 sessions with her. Changed my life. I mean, I thought I was going to have hip replacements for like no reason. I'm not like a fucking downhill skier or a rodeo clown or something. Like, but I was just in that much pain all the time. And do you know what's radically changed since doing regular sessions with her? My temper. My temper. I'm not screeching at people in Target anymore. I don't have road rage anymore. It's because I'm not in pain all the time, where it's like you're on a 9, and something that shouldn't piss you off so bad, you're just off a cliff because your body is so incredibly inflamed. And talk about a fight or flight response. Yeah, I still have a pretty bad temper, but at least I know it's okay. The things I'm mad about now, they're legitimate. And it's not just these little, like, just the mosquito stresses of life that you're like, I can't fucking handle this. I'm going to flip a table at this Applebee's. And so if this is like resonating with you, if your body hurts, Jess will fix you. Jess Forber. Find her on Instagram, DM her. Jess, I'm so sorry. I'm shouting you out if you're already overwhelmed. She lives in the Netherlands. She lives in Amsterdam. We do Zoom sessions. We've never met. We do Zoom sessions. And she will tell me, I'll walk in and sit down. She's like, oh, have you talked to your ex? I can tell by the way your hip is like unbalanced, because that's where you store him, in that hip. And she'll be right. She'll be right. I believe Jess could fix Celine Dion. And I believe Jess could have fixed Luigi. And I looked at the photos they're pulling from his Instagram and an x-ray where this young, fit man has 5 Home Depot screws in his lower back? This is what disgusts me about Western medicine. And I'm not some Christian Scientist. I'm not some tinfoil hat person. But like all Western medicine knows how to do, surgery pills, surgery pills, surgery pills. That's it. This is a great country to be in if you get in a car accident, if you break an arm, if you have cancer. It is a great country for triage. It is not a great country to live in if you're like, I don't know, something just feels off, I'm in pain. They're like, have you tried pills or screws from Home Depot? Have you tried incredibly addictive drugs that have so many side effects, which don't worry, we have more drugs for that, which have their own side effects, we got more drugs, blah, 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 blah. Or have you tried a fucking drill bit in your lower spine? Have you tried that? I was telling this to my mom because we were talking about RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., who's been tapped to kind of revamp the healthcare industry under Trump. I'm not a Republican, but I am a person who's pretty fucking fed up with the way things are. And COVID just pushed me over the edge. COVID pushed me over the edge. Like I could see what was happening and I'm like, how is How are so many people okay with this? How are so many people okay with a system that we're no longer allowed to ask questions about? Red flag number one. And my mom kind of thinks like RFK is like a bit of a kook. I'm like, is he? Because listen, for all the healthcare problems I've ever had over my life, and I'm a relatively healthy person, but I've had depression. I was a cutter for a very long time. I cut my arm. Self-harm. Don't dress it up in these cutesy fucking PC terms. I was a cutter, okay? I've had an eating disorder, like, all the female problems. I had an ectopic pregnancy, all of these things. Nowhere in anything I've ever dealt with in my entire life has a doctor said anything that's holistic. Stress reduction. Hey, are you meditating? What's your stress level like? What's your self-care practice? Are you exercising? Well, how much? What are you doing to de-stress? Nothing holistic. Nothing. It's, here's a pill. How about surgery? Here's a pill. How about surgery? Or actually, have you considered that you're lying? Hey girl, have you considered that the thing you come to me about is fake, that you're making it up for attention? Okay. And I'm sorry, can I segue real quick side rant about the BRCA breast cancer gene? I have to bring this up. I've been sitting on this rant for far too long. So if you don't know, the BRCA gene is something that they're really encouraging women to test for because it is a predictor of your likelihood of getting breast cancer. I find this terroristic to the point that it's predatory. Why? Breast cancer has a 91 to 99% survival rate in America. 91 to 99% survival rate. And what do they do when they test you for this gene? Do you know what they do if it comes back yes? They chop your tits off. That's the fix. Chop your tits off. It's not, hey, all right, you might have a propensity to develop this disease. Let's make sure your blood pressure's low. Let's make sure you're eating low sugar because cancer feeds off sugar. Nope, I think we should chop your tits off. Every person along this process is getting a paycheck. Every person is getting a paycheck. Well, it's preventative for a disease with a 91 to 99% survival rate. I have broken 5 bones, possibly 6. I've honestly lost count. I just genetically don't have very good bones. I work out, I drink milk, I took calcium. Like it's just a predisposition I have, okay? I don't have very good bones. Never one time has a doctor who's heard that I have all these broken bones suggested I cut off one of my arms. Not once. They've never suggested I cut off any of the limbs proactively because, well, you have a propensity to break them, so I think we should just cut all your limbs off. Even though there's data that I've already broken them. Still never a suggestion. That's interesting. Chopping your tits off is fucking monstrous. And what it is doing is preying on people who have watched a family member die. I cannot imagine anything more ghoulish than that. I cannot imagine anything more ghoulish. That of all that we can do in Western medicine, your only solution is to cut off someone's body part. No one's encouraging men to cut their balls off if testicular cancer runs in the family. Oh, that's interesting. Why not? Because then they're not a man anymore, right? Because they can't get a boner up. Well, they're not even a man. I mean, they're a eunuch. There's a word for that. But hey, women, chop your tits off. You're still supposed to feel like a woman. We're desexing you. You don't feel like a woman? Ooh. Wow, you're so vain. You just love your boobs. Wow, you're so vain. But a man will keep his balls. That's what makes him a man. I know men who won't cut the balls off of their dog. Well, I'm taking away his manhood. Okay, but we as women are supposed to chop our tits off. Again, 91 to 99% survival rate. Miss me with that bullshit. And my mom's like, I think you should get tested for it. Because I don't know anything about my father's side of the family. Honestly, they all suicided out. Like, it's quite the family tradition. She's like, it could be in you. I said, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't care. What am I going to do with that information? Put it in my brain and manifest it and obsess about it? We know stress creates cancer. That's one of the huge factors. No thanks. I will cross that bridge when we get there. Because what's the worst case scenario? Obviously, if you don't die from breast cancer, the worst case scenario is they chop your tits off. And I'm going to start there? No. I understand Luigi. I'm not saying this is what he should have done. It isn't. But I understand the anger. I understand a young, sexy, healthy, sexy, ripped up, sexy man suddenly confronting what is in essence his mortality, the fallibility of his body, a body that will never be made whole, that will never function the same. And to look down the barrel, I'm sorry for that pun, I just realized, I'm sorry, to look down the barrel of that future that, hey, your body's only going to get worse. I mean, you get older, health problems multiply, this is life. But to experience that at such a young age, and very possibly, either really or according to his version of things, it was a predatory surgery perhaps, where the holistic options were not explored. Do you have any idea how much Pilates can fix? Dude, but no, of course you don't have any idea, because doctors aren't encouraging you to do that, because that's not what they're taught. Who funds medical schools and hospitals? Big motherfucking pharma. You don't have Club Pilates at like Cedar Sinai. There's not the Club Pilates wing. It's not there. It's not there. So I understand the deep existential rage he must feel. To feel duped. Like it's this, like I said, the only word I can come up with is grotesque. That women are being told to chop their tits off, that a young man is having screws nailed into his body. I mean, I don't know what happened to him, if he had a car accident and like, listen, this is the only way we can keep your spine together. Okay, I don't know. But given his night and day sort of mental collapse after this, I kind of wonder if there were other options that he wasn't told about. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm just assuming, but that would make sense why he kind of went off the deep end. And yes, of course, I mean, obviously there's some mental illness at play. These events and all events that happen to us in life, I call it seeds on concrete. You know, if you are a very stable person, the seeds of bad breaks and bad things or influences, and it's a seed that's on infertile ground. It's on concrete. It's not taking root. You have someone who's a little bit more unstable, those seeds can sink in. The ground is not the same. The foundation is not the same. Here's why, Ghost Gun Daddy, I don't believe this is going to make a lot of difference. You know why? I've got two words for you. Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette. And listen, this is going to sound repetitive. I filmed a video already about Max Verstappen and how he's a sociopath. I believe he's a sociopath, and why being around sociopaths can actually improve your life a little bit. I was going to put it up today, but since Luigi is trending, I thought we're going to do this first. But I touch on this Marie Antoinette thing and Luigi in that video. So if I'm repeating myself, tough shit. Oh well. Repetition is the root of persuasion. Haven't you heard the I Have a Dream speech? Okay, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette. The revolutionaries in France chopped her head off in, 1797, during the French Revolution, and they killed thousands of nobles, aristocrats, high-ranking people, because the peasants, they wanted the change. They want the change. We can't afford bread. She wants us to eat cake, blah, blah, blah. And what changed for the peasants? All that happened was a massive power vacuum occurred. They had what they called the tennis court government after that, where literally this wobbly new parliament they were trying to form met on a tennis court because they'd like burned everything down, right? It was disorganized, as many revolutions usually are, because revolutions oftentimes come from emotion, not logic. And the people galvanizing this hysterical emotion, they have an agenda. It is very often for their own self-aggrandizement. Robespierre, was a classic example of this. BLM is a classic example of this. What exactly has changed for Black people in America after BLM? Honestly, I think it's worse because now people I know who are racist, they're like, now I have a reason to dislike these people because BLM was such a fucking scam. The people at the top, though, raking in the cash, buying mansions, leaving the constituency high and dry. A lot of revolutions fail. Most of them fail because they're disorganized and they're galvanizing mob mentality and emotion without a plan or even a motivation, usually BLM, to enact real and lasting change. The French Revolution was no different. And do you know where Robespierre ended up once the people figured out? It's like, you don't even have a fucking plan. The guillotine. The guillotine. Yeah. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And so the French Revolution created this huge power vacuum. And listen, a bad leader is better than no leader. We also see that with Saddam Hussein. We took down Saddam. There was no government we were prepared to install. Guess who swept in? The Taliban. Guess who swept into revolutionary France? 11 years. 11 years, which is nothing. You're chopping the king's head off. 11 years after that. You didn't have a king in France. You know what you had? An emperor. Napoleon. Napoleon. An emperor is above a king. Because what does an emperor rule? An empire. What does an empire do? It expands. It conquers. An empire is militaristic and about acquisition. A kingdom, not necessarily. A kingdom is fixed. I mean, of course, you have kings who are military kings, but an empire, that's the whole deal. You call something the empire, that's about expansion. The British Empire, the Roman Empire, both of these empires, Britain and Rome, got themselves into hot water and eventually disintegrated because of overexpansion. If you're in the Shallon, we just talked about this. We just talked about this on Sunday, about how overexpansion, either on the macro, Napoleon, Rome, whatever, can be the end of you because you overextend yourself and you just can't keep up. And then on the micro, you're going to too many holiday parties, you're buying gifts for too many people, you're baking for too many cookie exchanges, and you collapse from the inside out. If you want more on that, join the Shallon. It's the best. It's the absolute best. You can make a lot of friends and just feel really heard. You feel really heard and really understood and really seen. I do a lot of crying as well and a lot of historical posts. So yes, with Napoleon, he took advantage of the fact that there was chaos in France. And he expanded too much, went into Russia, just got his ass handed to him eventually, and his reign collapsed and he was eventually exiled. How does this relate to Luigi? Killing one CEO is killing Marie Antoinette. Do you think we're running out of CEOs, Luigi? You cut the head off a Hydra, 7 more pop up in its place. Hopefully this does spark real change. But I look at the Daniel Penny trial in New York City. If you don't know about that, Daniel Penny is an ex-Marine who saw a man on the subway in New York having a fucking meltdown, a dangerous, mentally ill, violent meltdown, which, by the way, happens all the time on the New York City subways. But because this man is not a native New Yorker, it was fucked up to him that this violent person was just running around the train like a Wolverine. And if you have a different interpretation of this case, that's fine. It's my channel, so I'm going to say my own interpretation. Start your own YouTube channel if you don't like it. That's fine. And he put him in a chokehold, and eventually the man died. There's not enough discussion being had, and Daniel Penny was just acquitted, which I thank God for. We need more men like Daniel Penny, and we need more oversight. We need more oversight. And that's what any good old boy from Montana would have done. They would have stood up and been like, is anyone else fucking seeing this? I will defend you. And the conversation around we need, you New Yorkers who wanted to defund the police, okay, you get the city you vote for. You get the world you allow. You get the world you allow. And so I don't think that there's enough of a discussion about that around Daniel Penny. I don't think there's enough discussion about mental health help or bail reform. Whatever. I don't know that this Luigi assassination is going to lead to the conversations that we really need to be having on the large scale, within that healthcare community. We can have these discussions. Are other CEOs being Fuck, dude. All right. People are unhappy. I just don't think they care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. The kings of France knew the people were starving and unhappy. They knew that. They knew that. Hey, man, it's a cold world. So sad, too bad. Maybe they cared the day before they got marched up to the guillotine. It's a little too late, huh? So while I would love to say that, this is going to lead to reform, historically, has it? What changed for the peasants in France, even under the rule of Napoleon? I don't know. A lot? Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, you can make the same claim about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which sparked the First World War. A lot of aristocrats lost their shirt. Well, they lost their lives. Did the wealth get redistributed? You can make an argument for that. However, you can make an argument that the loss of life was a Pyrrhic victory. Not really worth it. Not really worth it. Yeah, wealth is going to get distributed when a third of a generation of young men is annihilated, wiped out in trench warfare. Young, rich, poor, whatever. Is that worth it? These are the debates. People have these debates in grad school. You know, I don't have the tidy answers for this, but I get so much peace and clarity looking at history. So when people just look at Luigi, it's like, oh my God, this is going to change everything. Historically, if major change has come about, a war had to happen. Hopefully we are more evolved than that, but maybe not. And I asked you guys on Instagram, what's your topic here? And one of you girls just had the best. You left it as a comment on my Instagram. Let's see. Peyton, would society support this man's actions if he was not conventionally attractive? Or are we as a society finally just pushed to the limit? Could this be an event that starts opening the eyes of corruption to the general public? Or will we just forget about this in 2 weeks? When to know if we're doing the right thing or we're taking something too far? I think this is a very interesting thing to start with. Would we support this man's actions if he wasn't hot? No. We would maybe get it, but I don't think we'd be no, we wouldn't be like, free him, free him, free him. This is a psychological thing called the halo effect. This is not new. The halo effect ascribes a whole host of positive assumptions to people who are hot. I don't know. There must be an inverse one. I don't know if it's called the devil or the pitchfork effect or something, where we assume ugly people have a bunch of negative qualities. I don't know. But the halo effect is extremely, extremely real. This is not a Darwinistic thing. This is like a caveman genetic wiring. Yeah, we're going to look at attractive people as having a whole host of positive benefits because we're attracted to attractive people. Hello? So we're going to want to mate with them, and we are going to incentivize ourselves to mate with that person because we believe their genes to be superior. Here's some other things you guys had to say. Eat the rich mentality. Is this right or wrong? If you have done my recent social climbing course, which I highly encourage, it's the most recent Evil Week topic we did, basically how to ascend socially, how to make elite, rich, powerful friends, how to date elite rich men, and how to make yourself elite and powerful. And I did a Zoom. I'm probably going to do another one. And just during meetups that we've done, I was asking you guys okay, what's your feedback? What are your questions about this? And I kept encountering this pushback of, but the rich are evil, but the rich are evil. They're evil. The poor are evil. Evil is represented, I believe, equally in both sectors. I'm sorry, the people who I see do crime in my area or in any area, they're not architects. They're not professors of economics. They're poor people. Poor people are angry. I don't blame them for being angry. I do blame them for shooting up a school. I blame them for stealing cars. I don't find that acceptable. I don't find that acceptable. I am not of the mindset that to be wealthy is to be evil. You can be just as evil poor. Of course you can be evil rich. You were already evil. You were already evil. Money just gave you a different kind of way to express it. I basically only know very high level people. I don't associate with losers. And because I mostly live in white areas, I'm sorry, but if you are a white man in America, you should be rich. You should be rich because society wants you to succeed. There's no glass ceiling. Nothing is holding you back. You have not low expectations. you should be doing pretty fucking well. You don't need to be a billionaire, but you should be able to support yourself. And if you have this rage welling up against you or like inside of you, that is your fault. That's your fault. It's not women. It's not the man. It's you. It's you. There is an overabundance of resources to help people succeed in this country. I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to hear it. Sorry. I've succeeded. I grew up with a single mom, not a lot of handouts. Okay. I had a good education, but when I was out of the nest, I was all the way out of the nest. Okay. And I made something of myself. That's the American dream. So to vilify rich people, you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face. Why don't you look at people who have done something with their life and figure out how? And guess what? In my course, I tell you how to do this. This might be incendiary advice, but you know what? I could spend my life making excuses for people who have the same opportunities that I do, maybe less intellect, but just as many opportunities. Or I could spend my life being inspired and elevated by people who are doing something pretty cool with their life. Okay, a lot of you guys are asking, is he a psychopath, a sociopath? I actually don't think he's either. I think he's just angry. I think he feels a lot. But yes, tomorrow I'm going to put up that Max Verstappen episode and we're going to talk about sociopaths and psychopaths, the difference, how they become who they are. And again, like what we can learn. Are they really as bad as they're cracked up to be? It's going to be kind of a controversial video. I take a very different spin. I think because my personality align more over that way than I do with bleeding heart people pleasers. Sorry about it. And you know what, dude? I'm a pretty happy, successful person. My life is pretty bomb. You talk to people pleasers, they are hella unhappy. Come over to my side. I'll teach you how. I will. I'll literally teach you how. Here's a topic you guys suggested, being bad in service of something bigger than yourself. Listen, we can remove the quotes from bad. Murdering someone is bad. I mean, most of the time. What do you think? There's a phrase that Texans have. I've only heard it in Texas. I'm from Texas. Some people need killing. They need killing. What do you think? What do you think? This is a safe space for wickedness. I am the girl who does evil week, okay? I sell necklaces that say ruthless and revenge. If you can't express your horrible, florid wickedness here, where can you? If you don't have anything nice to say, come sit by me. Come to my channel. Are you justified in doing something bad in service of something bigger? It just depends on the consequences that you're willing to accept. If someone hurt somebody that I cared about, would be no question what my reaction would be. And you know what? If I got arrested, I'd do the time with a smile on my face. Zero regrets, no regrets, none. I would be willing to accept that consequence because in my mind, I would have nothing else to live for. I would have nothing else to live for. So sure, I'll live behind bars. What am I just going to drift around society pretending to be happy? I'd rather be locked up with a bunch of villains and just be like, this is who I am. This is who I have turned myself into. Which brings me to a topic that we're going to talk about. The bad boy. The bad boy. I will admit, well, I say that I'm not attracted to the bad boy, but my last boyfriend is literally a sociopath and I was deeply, deeply in love with him. We were deeply in love with each other because we understood that side of one another that society is always telling us is like evil and change this. And like, we got it. We got it. And we were like a safe space for one another to just be kind of who we are sometimes. I mean, you guys are also my safe space. Like I don't front anything with you, but it can be difficult. So as I say, I'm like, I've never liked the bad boy. Really? But typically, okay, here's how we define the bad boy. I'm about to eat my words because now that I'm about to break down like what the bad boy actually entails, like Shallon, were you gonna look them in the face and say you don't like the bad boy? So what we can define as the bad boy is from a genetic and psychological perspective. It's not like the guy who has tattoos and leather. Anyone can buy leather, and a whole host of bitch-ass soy boys have tattoos these days. It's men who take bold risks. That is kind of how it's defined. And an arrogance and a bravado. Like a bravado, rah. Like if you look at a peacock, the ones with the big feathers, the peacock, those are males. Those are males. And they're going to be like, they're going to cock it out. They're going to peacock around. But the downside to doing this is they attract attention and competition and violence from other male peacocks. But a male peacock who's like trying to fuck, who's like actually going to get laid and have his genes continue on, will take that risk in order to get the attention of the female. The peacocks who end up dying out and their genetic line ends, they're the ones who never let their tails out. Do you know that? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Because they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight with the other males. All right, closed mouths don't get fed, dude. And so we, as human beings, we look at the men who are willing to take, and this is something that studies actually show, not just something altruistic, like they're helping others, they're a leader, but it has to have an element of bravery. This is a big, important psychological distinction that, again, doctors have honed in on, that women want a man who does something that's brave and good. For example, a firefighter. He's doing something altruistic. He's running into a building to save the kitten or the child, and it's brave. Like, that's really, really scary. We want someone who's brave because genetically that indicates that he's a survivor and he's going to be able to protect us. He will do what is necessary to protect us and any potential offspring that we might have. They demonstrate fighting skills, lust, and protectiveness. This is the caveman you're going to choose, right? However, this is where the bad boy thing comes in. Men see their attractiveness to women, and so they're like, well, why would I just pick one peacock in when I could peacock all over the place? I could be cock of the walk. I could be. So this is what makes them a bad boy, is all the traits that make them attractive to us, that boldness, that confidence. Even they've honed in on men like this, tend to be high testosterone, symmetrical. Their face is very symmetrical. They're tall, and weirdly, they're parasite resistant. Isn't that interesting? The things that make men interesting and alluring to us, well, that makes them attractive to everybody. And isn't a man only as faithful as his options? So he's a bad boy because he's not the settled boy. He is not the boy who's going to go from like, oh, like bold, lusty, like warrior man to like doting dad. You look at any fantasy novel. Let's take A Court of Thorns and Roses, right? Isn't that exactly what Reese is? Like the warrior, he's going to kill everyone, but he's a daddy. Same with Cassian. That's what we want from all men. We want the bad boy who we alone can tame. And the reason these guys are bad is because that is not always how it goes. They break our heart. We view them as the bad boy, the douchebag, the player, the fuckboy, whatever. Because they're out peacocking, spreading their wares all over the place, and they break our hearts. Not always. Not always. Men grow out of it. A lot of times bravado belies truly a very deep insecurity and a need to be loved. Is this what we should assume every time we see these men? No. No, I can change him. I can love him. It's tough because sometimes it does work. Look at Justin Bieber. Hailey, for ostensibly, has changed him or tempered him or the timing was right or whatever. But we saw him going from just such a messy mess to like dad. Isn't it weird that Justin Bieber's a dad? We have examples of this, and this is what fucks us up. This is what fucks us up and keeps us coming back to men like this and re-engaging in these dynamics. Listen, if you are fine knowing that, you know what, I'm never going to tame him. I'm going to take what I can get when I can get it. I will take his genetics and have literally what psychologists call sexy sons. I know, boy, moms are so weird, but sexy sons in that these genes, the bravado, the height, the symmetry, the bravery, which is, they have decided is like very much hardwired into you, can be. It's a factor. There's a lot of nature there versus nurture. I'm going to pass these on. I'm going to have kids that demonstrate this. Okay. The daddy just might not be home for dinner, girl. It depends on what you want. If you want the sexy sons, if you want to raise like another generation of lions and peacocks and dragons, okay. If you want the man who's like dad, stable dad, you're going to have to sacrifice some things. Maybe it's height, maybe it's symmetry, maybe it's even parasites. I don't know. You might sacrifice the bravado if what you want is stability. And I know it's unfair that we would have to choose. I personally don't think women like us do. I think pigeon women do. Yeah. I don't think women like us do. I believe we can have it all. I do. I believe because we're VIP, we're elite. And again, this is what I teach you in my social climbing course. I teach you how to meet these men, literally where to meet them, what to wear, what to say, how to ingratiate yourself with men who are masters of the universe, but who are also lovers and bonders. They're out there. You know how I know they're out there? We are that. We are that. We're a master of the universe, but we're lovers. Like, yeah, we're like the sexy girls and we fuck and we fuck and we fuck, but we also love. And we're sweet and we're spicy and we're sassy, but we're empathetic and we're warm and we're nurturing. So if we can be everything, yeah, we can find the men who are. But you got to be realistic about what you're looking at here. If what you're looking at is to have your emotions activated, and you know what, when I was young, yeah, that's what I was after. Like in my 20s, if I was being honest with myself, I wasn't trying to settle down. And I wish I was more honest with myself that like, I just wanted these like crazy, big, amazing experiences. And that the highs are high and the lows are going to be low. And that's okay because I was not fit to mate with. I was not fit to be a wife. Even when I did get married in my early 30s, I had no business being a wife. I was still wanting emotional activation. I still was. Now I'm not. I'm like so behind. But your development is what it is. If what you want is that those experiences and these like larger than life feelings, okay, what you're going to sacrifice is that stability. Those cannot walk hand in hand. Not for very long. Maybe one can transition into the other, like we said, Justin Bieber. But what if we had to assume that what you see is what you get? That the bad boy who's giving you like, oh, the crazy, Matty Healy, who looks like he eats cigarettes, Matty Healy is never going to settle down and be the good guy. He's always going to eat cigarettes and typewriters. Okay. He's going to just drink ink. Looks like he'd do that. What if you assume that who this man is set in stone? And it's never going to change. I know. I know, okay? What if you tell yourself, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you cannot date potential? And this goes for the good guys too. Hey, what if this good guy, he's never going to choke me and pull my hair. I can ask him to, but he's always going to be half-hearted about, well, I don't want to hurt you. I want you to hurt me. That's literally the point. What if he's just never going to be that guy? What if the bad guy's never going to be the stable guy who doesn't want to hurt me? What if the bad boy does want to hurt me? And that's never going to change. And he doesn't care if he hurts me. Oh, he'll pull my hair. He'll pull my heart out of my chest. Neither path is wrong. It just depends on what you want. And I have said this forever. Whatever you want is fine. If you're in a hoe phase, go be a hoe. It's great. Be a slut. Do whatever you want. If you're like, I actually really want to settle down, amazing. If you know what I want? I want a true partner. True partner who's going to call me on my shit, and we're going to work on things together, and all the ups and downs that you experience in relationships throughout a lifetime, we're going to do together. We're going to build something together, but I don't want children. That's what I want. That's what I want. And we're so hesitant to admit what we want because we think it's crazy. Well, I'm never going to find that. Even though if we tell it to someone else, like me telling you this, someone's going to be in the comments being like, of course you can find that. That's not crazy at all. That's like a unicorn. Do you know how many men would love a woman who wants to be like a wife, but not necessarily a mom? Because they don't maybe want to be a dad, or they're already a dad, or whatever. It's not, whatever you want is not crazy. And it certainly is not impossible. look at where we're at in society. I mean, you have like the ethically non-monogamous, whatever it is you're into, someone out there is into it, but you're never going to find that person. You're never going to find that path if you're not honest about what you want. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And you can't get to a destination if you're not even plugging in the address. I'm just going to drive in circles and hope I get somewhere. Okay. I'm going to say I want to go west. I actually want to go east. Good luck circumnavigating the globe to get where you want to go then, because it's going to take a long time. Just do a U-turn. Be honest with yourself. And be honest, more than just with yourself. Be honest about the other person. So, this is a long video. Let me know what you guys have to say. Let's talk about Luigi in the comment section. He's hot. Do you think he'll be found not guilty? I am so curious what lawyers are going to like roll up for him, because this is going to be, I think, like the trial of the century. I really do. Do you think he should go free? Do you think he's like not all there? Or do you think he is a man who has literally just been pushed to the edge? And do you think on some level he represents all of us? Or is this a horrible way to go about enacting real change? Or is this actually precisely sometimes how change has to go, at the tip of a sword? In order to make governments and the powers that be, we don't have kings, but we do have corporations, and arguably they're kind of worse. Is this the revolution, the guillotine, if you will, that is needed to spark actual change? And what are your thoughts on bad boys? Are they just so alluring? Or are you like, you know what? They were once, and now I truly want a good guy. That's where I'm at. Like, I truly want someone who loves me and is there and is normal. And when I'm in pain, the world stops and he listens. It took me a very long time to get here. And the only way I got here is by working on myself, so that I knew that I deserved that, treating myself the way I want someone else to treat me, listening to myself. When I'm in pain, my world stops and I listen, and I give myself all the tenderness and the love and the worthiness that I want to see mirrored back to me. And the people I date have radically changed. You might be saying, that's interesting, you dated a sociopath. We had an amazing relationship until we didn't. But yeah, I get closer to the mark every time. I think because I develop more of myself through all of these experiences and through so many other things that I do. And like I said, if you need some body reconditioning, check out my friend Jess Forber, JESFORBER on Instagram. DM her. She's an absolute weapon. She will fix your life. And if she can't, I can. Together, we're unstoppable. All right, tell me what's up in the comment section. I'll see you later, alligators.